Welcome to News 24's Bathathe Bafana. I'm Tashreeq Vardien, and it is just hours since Bafana Bafana made history at the 2026 FIFA World Cup. A hard-fought 1-0 victory over South Korea in Monterrey secured South Africa's place in the round of 32, where Hugo Broos's men will now travel to Los Angeles to face Canada on Sunday. For the first time ever, Bafana have broken through the group stage barrier at a World Cup. It is a landmark moment for South African football, and judging by the celebrations back home, the Gees is alive and well across the country. One man has had a front row seat to it all. Joining us live in the streets, hopefully not, in Mexico, is News 24 senior football writer Njabulo Ngidi, who has been following Bafana's World Cup journey every step of the way. Njabulo, good morning in Mexico and good afternoon in South Africa.
I don't even know what day it is, and I've also stopped trying to figure out what time it is. It's just, it's been a high, and it still hasn't properly sunk in what this team has been able to do, but it's done sweet.
I think one of the most important things and pieces of, not advice, you've been at this longer than I have, is that one day when you're just chilling at home, then you're going to realize, oh snap, I did that. I was there. And it will just slowly but surely come back to you, and you'll probably realize, hey, I need to pinch myself. Exactly like last night, if I could point that out. Last night was like one of those pinch me moments.
I think there is no national team that controls our emotions and dominates our hearts like this team. Like Bafana Bafana puts us through. Yes, it's put us through the most. We've suffered. We've counted. We've needed calculators. We've celebrated dances that never was. We've narrowly missed out on making it to the next round. Like there isn't any emotion that this team has not put us through. Mm-hmm. And just as we are about to give up, because even when Bruce came on and there were like thousands of fans watching this team, barely many people. South Africa had not fully given up. Mm-hmm. We were on the verge of giving up, but we were not fully given up, and they brought us back. Like they have this way of just taking us to ridiculous highs, and as we on cloud nine, and then we crash back down again, but we rise up and continue. It's a crazy story, and I think Bafana Bafana embodies the craziness of being South African, and that we have such great highs and such unforgettable lows, yet we find a way to rise and continue and try and survive the next day.
Mm-hmm. Speaking about sheer ridiculousness that Bafana Bafana has certainly put not only journalists and media through, but fans alike. When you walked into the Monterrey Stadium yesterday, or at least a couple of days before this game as well, and once you've taken your seat, to cover this match, did you sense something, sort of magical, mythical could happen in Monterrey for Bafana Bafana?
I saw it a day before the game. I sent you guys a message that Yaya is going to start and is going to have a good game, because the sheer confidence that he stepped into the press conference room with, because Yaya is not the most confident of speakers. Like he stutters when he's a bit nervous, but you can see when he sort of rises up and sort of puffs his chest, how confident he is. How he handled the media, that was the first big sign that I think the guy is in for a big shift. Mm-hmm. And then afterwards, the team is doing the familiarization on the pitch, because they're not allowed to train where they're going to play day before. It's one of the new rules to sort of try and protect the pitches as much as they can. So on the day before the game, the team gets to walk about the stadium where they're going to play to sort of familiarize themselves. And whenever that process has happened, Bafana Bafana have been on the far end, whereas the media is on the periphery. That's why even some of the video that we've taken of them familiarizing themselves with the pitch have not been great, because they've been on the other side. And I think that picture sort of captured how things have been between South Africa and the team. Like the media has been very far We've not had much. I mean, there's only one session really where we could talk to the players outside of the FIFA mandated calendar events. So we haven't been talking close and sort of with the team. But that day when we asked the players to come a bit closer, to come next to us, so we could sort of take better videos and better photos because they're closer. They all came. Firstly, it was Hellman and the CEO, and they're all very confident. And Hellman was like, yeah, we're definitely going through to the next round. And the players, I mean, Umbogazi with this cowboy hat, they came, they greeted us, and there was like a long line of journalists, but they came to the South African guys and they greeted us, shook us by hand. And the confidence that they walked in, like they were strutting their stuff and they looked like they were in charge. It was their house. Like that's how assured they were. And when you look at where they've gone, I mean, first game, they were very poor. Second game, they look good in moments. They were, any other team that has had such a start, you wouldn't expect them to walk like the way they did. There would be some embarrassment and not. But this team had there was some swagger about the way they were walking. That's when I believe that even if they don't win, they're going to put on a fight and we're going to see the real Bafana Bafana.
And a fight is what they gave us. And that's, I guess, is all that we asked for back home, and they surely did. Seeing that lineup, there was no two ways about it with Yaya Sithole starting, sort of like for him to redeem himself. And what a way he certainly did so. I think you mentioned it in our morning meeting, and I agree with you. You said he was probably more deserving of that man of the match award. Although Paseko scored that goal, the shift that Sithole alone put in the middle of the park, just to stop every counter attack, stop every play. But not only that, like that communication with him, Mbata as well as alongside, as well as his two centre back pairings. It was something that sort of just clicked on a night where you want everything to click.
It felt like rolling back the years. I mean, the Bafana of the 2023 AFCON, when even that team also started with the 2-0 loss and looked down in the dumps, but found a way to pick themselves up and go all the way to finish third at the AFCON. The shift that Sithole put was ridiculous. In terms of how much he ran, the movement that he had, and how he was scanning, because that's how he was caught, that he didn't scan properly. It was the vintage Yaya coming back and showing us, because I mean, when I wrote the first take when the first game that Bruce picked him because of his loyalty, going into this tournament, I don't think Yaya should have been at the World Cup, and I don't think any other coach would have picked him, because he has not been his best since that injury that he got in Bafana Bafana colours, where he was out for a year. When he came back, he didn't have that aggression that he had, that fierceness in midfield, where him and Debza were bullying opponents. His game was also a bit slower. So he was not in the best of shapes, and even in the build-up games, you could see that this is not the real Yaya. But like with every one of this team, is that their technical abilities is the least of the things that make them good. What makes them the team that they are is their mental strength and their resolve to dig themselves out of a hole and produce something when all is lost. And that's what Yaya did. He showed his class, he showed his quality, and why him and Debza were one of the deadliest combination, not just in South Africa, but in Africa, and how they performed in Ivory Coast.
My next question, and I don't want to, just pull a rabbit out of a hat and just sound even remotely controversial, but do you think we found Themba Zwane's replacement in Relebohele Mofokeng, especially after that performance? He kept feeding. They didn't eat as often, but he fed them.
We have. I mean, that we've got two great replacements for Themba Zwane. It's Rele and Jaden Adams. And Rele was just sensational. I think for me, after Stole, he was the second best player on the pitch. And I think this is also something that at times can be frustrating with Bruce, is his conservativeness. When you look at Rele, when he got that debut against Zimbabwe in Bloom in the qualifiers 2 years ago, we were expecting to sort of that appearance to kick off him being given more minutes and worked, because I mean you could see that Zwane was nearing his end, and you want that transition to happen in real time and not wait for Zwane to be properly out, because also one of the things that the bond that Rele and Zwane has is magical. Like Rele genuinely loves Utemba. He looks up to him, and he's one of his big brothers in this team. So for Rele to learn firsthand from Zwane in terms of what it takes to carry this team is something special. And I think Bruce could have unleashed Rele a long time ago, especially, I mean, at the last AFCON, Rele should have played a bigger role because of he's shown at Pirates that he can carry a big team. I mean, when you look at where he's coming from with his age, to lead a team like Pirates in the Champions League, in the fight for the championship, where they finished second, and then to come back and lead them to winning the league when at the start of the season it wasn't good, but he came back. Like, Rele has magic. Like, he's one of the most exciting players I've seen in South Africa in a very long time, because he can produce something out of nothing. And when Rele is on the pitch, all is not lost. We've seen at club level, I mean, Nedbank Cup final, even in the MTN Cup final against Marumo Gallants, where at extra time, it didn't even look like Pirates at that edge, and it just produced something. So he has magic, and I think we've delayed his progress in terms of the national team, because he should have been handed the keys a long time ago. I mean, to drive this team forward. And I think the performance that what he did against Czechia, that for me guaranteed that he's going to start against South Korea, because he showed Bruce and he showed the world what he's made of. And I think his star is only going to shine brighter after this.
It's incredible to think that, and I agree with you in that sense, where, you know, you have this sensational talent in Mofokeng, and then we have TLB Mbukazi at the back, who are relatively more or less the same age. They're just like a year or two apart. But Mbukazi gets that straight flight into that team, and, you know, whenever he's in that squad, he's starting. Where, as for Mofokeng, it's sort of like Bruce, from what I felt in this past 2 years, as he's been in and out of the squad, not in and out of the squad, but in the periphery as well, but not getting that much minutes in the Bafana Bafana shirt. It's sort of Bruce telling us, he said he wants to look after this kid in some cases. And I understand that from his perspective, but I also felt like you should have just squeezed out a little bit more out of him, especially in that AFCON earlier this year, and perhaps sometime last year as well, leading up to this, you know, World Cup.
I think that the biggest challenge is us as South Africans. We can be a problem. In firstly, we overhype our players and get a couple of so good glimpses and good performances, and then we think this is a superstar who should be walking straight to the La Liga. So we jump certain steps in terms of developing our players, but it doesn't end there. When a player has a bad performances, we do not consistently lift that player up as South Africans. I mean, the same with Sithole. Like, if it was up to some South Africans, Sithole would have been deported from here to go back straight to South Africa after that shocker. And probably take away his passport, that he never plays for the national team again, because that's how emotional we get. And we get very excited and also very angry quickly. So we need a bit of calming in terms of finding that balance with how we are so quick to react, whether good or positive. And it's one of the things that Bruce has done well. I mean, he's had his mistakes now and then, and I think the reading of Rele is one of them. But at the core has been to sort of find that stability and not get carried over. And I think when you look at Lyle Foster, for instance, I think he's where he is because of that mentality in South Africa, in terms of when it's good, you are great. When you struggle, you are useless and you're dead to us. Mm-hmm. And he, like Lyle, is at a point where he needs South Africa to back him, because you know his quality, but his confidence has taken a beating. And I think this World Cup should be a lesson for us as fans in South Africa that, yes, be emotional, yes, wear your heart on your sleeve and whatnot, but when your team needs you, also have capacity to be able to lift them, because that's something that we do not do. And I've seen it even at club level when our teams are playing in the Champions League. When the teams are suffering, you can, Sundowns, you can see their fans suffering with them and dropping their guard. I think it's something that Pirates have improved on, and they did it quite well this season, that when their team is suffering, they don't suffer, but they are able to lift their players and sing, even when it looks like they're heading for a loss, but they don't show it. And I think it's something that as South Africans, we need to do better on, in terms of lifting our players when they're down. Yes, be critical, but also remember that our primary job is to carry these players in certain moments when they can't carry the team, because when we are united, we are unbelievable. I mean, South Africa, a united South Africa can do the impossible. It's because of how we are when we're fractured that the country is where it is, and Bafana Bafana is where it is, because of us not being able to consistently lift ourselves when we're down in the dumps, but just making it worse by sort of stomping on us when we're on the ground.
The impossible was certainly not something that we could not do, and we made it possible in the early hours of Thursday morning. What I want to ask you next is that, do you reckon Safa is going to foot this ball for the next trip to LA?
That's not happening.
Like they've done, surely they've planned for us to make that knockout rounds, and they'll definitely be okay in that aspect.
I mean, I think the one thing that hopefully this result does is mend the fence, so to speak, because it has not been a nice tournament to cover in terms of how things have been between the team and the media. But the day before, when I said the players were very confident and even came to us and talked to us, like it was an interview, but they were human and talked to us. It showed that the problems are not necessarily with the players, and whatever is happening is something that can be fixed. And I think it's important to do that, because this is such a big moment for South African football, that we can't be letting petty squabbles and petty politics get in the way of telling the stories of these remarkable players. I mean, I know you touched on the age of TLB, Norele, but you also have Ime Okon, Gabini. I mean, yes, Jaden is 25, but that essentially means he's got still 4 more years to go to the next World Cup. There's Makai, yeah. There's like the future of this team is bright when you look at their age and who's coming in behind them. And for me, this World Cup was always an opportunity to learn. I think even if we finished bottom, it would not have been a train smash, especially if we finished bottom having fought. This was supposed to be an opportunity for us to learn and see where we are, what we need to work on, because you can't spend 16 years away from the World Cup, where your entire squad has never played at a World Cup, and then expect to rock up there and be world beaters. You're gonna suffer, you're gonna pay some lessons, some school lessons, but you must grow. And I think this past two weeks here has grown this team a lot. And I think I don't think there's any challenge now that you can throw at this team that they're not able to bounce back from. When you look at everything they've gone through, including some Africans hate watching them, and sending messages to them online and all sorts of abuse because of what the other countrymen are doing in the country. So the hell that they've been put on in this past 2 weeks has made them better players and a better group.
The next challenge, though, is Canada this Sunday. How far can we dream, and when should we wake up?
this is when like now and then we need to catch ourselves. Like we thought this team would not even be able to make it out of the group, majority of us. And now that we did, we can win the World Cup. Like, Canada is not that tough. Well, who do we play after Canada? We might get Morocco. South Africans go from 0 to 100 just like that. I think Canada is going to be tough. They won, even though they're not playing in Canada, but LA is still a reasonable distance for Canadians to come. And there are also a decent number of Canadians in the US. And the problem with Canada is that they are not a big name. It's more like a united team. And there's also that disappointment from them because with the way groups are set up, especially for the co-host, is that if you finish on top of your group, you're not going to have to leave your country outside of America because, regardless of where they finish, they likely would have been still in the US. So the motivation for Mexico and for Canada was that top your group so that in the round of 32 you play at home. Mm-hmm. Canada did not do that by not getting the results in the last game, which takes away that home advantage, and now they have to go to LA on Sunday. So they'll still be smarting from that disappointment, and they will look at Bafana to redeem themselves. And I think we should not underestimate Canada. They might not be a force in world football, but they are among the nations that are on the up. And when you look at the young players that are coming in Canadian football, it's a team that in the next couple of years, there will be regulars in the knockout stage of the World Cup. So we have to, go back and just, I think for me, show the similar fights that we showed today. Because regardless of the result, South Africans would be proud because that's all South Africans demand from their team. Just fight and show that you want it, and then everything else will take care of itself.
Well, how does Bruce set up for this Canadian side? Bear in mind they lost their last match, which if they should have won, would they have gone top?
Yeah. There was the number 1 and 2, and they would have played in Canada. I think the team that played here is, in terms of personnel and even formation, that's the formation that Bruce has used, that 4-2-3-1 formation. And I think the challenge in the first 2 games is that we've tweaked our game so much to counter what the opponent was throwing at us that we did not invest enough in terms of what is it that we're going to be throwing at them. And when you look at the lineup that we put up against Korea, it was a lineup of what is South Africa going to do. It was not, this is the threat of Korea, so you're going to counter them with 5 defenders, for instance. It was, this is what we're going to do. We have players who've got speed, and this is our game. Keep position. Let's hit them on the transition and run at them. Get Mahopa to sort of shift the 2 center-backs to create space for our Moremi and Maseko, Apolis. That's the game. Like, that's what we do. And I think we need to approach that game similar in terms of this is our game. This is how we're going to try and impose ourselves on them. Yes, plan in terms of what is it that they're going to throw at us, but don't be dictated by what your opponents are going to do. We've learned that lesson the hard way, and not just in this World Cup, but even at the AFCON. Our approach against Egypt and against Cameroon was designed on what is the strength of those teams and what they're going to throw at us, that we spent little time on what is it that we're going to be doing to them and sort of throwing at them. And that backfired miserably. And I think we need to learn from that and try and sort of exert ourselves on our opponent.
It's without question to say that Bochum Mokoena comes straight back in, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, we play. Tebogo Mokoena is so important that we play him even when he shouldn't be playing because of a yellow card. This was one of those rare moments where we followed the rules and we're like, "Oh, he's suspended. Okay, Tebza, sit this one out." Like that's how key he is in this team.
Yeah, I'm wondering whether he's going to tinker with that front three. The back four is fine. Imi Ocon really impressed me. I think the communication between the back four and the midfield is becoming better. And safe to say that Aubrey Modiba also had a much better game, which allowed for much more stability between the centre-back pairing. And Bukazi was just a Bukazi as per usual. But I'm thinking about, obviously, will he keep Rele in? Most likely. Will he bench Evidence Magopo? Will his heartstrings pull towards Lyle Foster? Will he give Oswin a rest? Oswin didn't really have the best of games, but he did enough. I kind of expected a bit of more. So what does he do? Obviously, the one change, as we mentioned, is Tebogo Mokoena. Does he make another change as well?
I mean, I feel bad for Mbata because he's going to be the sacrifice. Like when Mbata stepped up and given us shape, he drives. I mean, the chance that Magopa got in the first half, that was because of his shots that Mbata had taken. And I mean, it's sad, but Tebogo is Tebogo, and with the way that Ustole played, he's gonna return. I think that combination of Stole and Tebogo, and probably keep the front three. I think if there's anyone who changes in the three, it might be who Paulis in for Moremi, because when Moremi came in, he had like there was a burst of energy and crispness about it that Paulis has not been able to show us consistently. But the challenge with Paulis and even Maseko is that you have to keep them. I mean, even in the game, I saw when fans are saying Maseko must come out, but he's the guy with an eye for goal. Yes, he's going to miss, but he doesn't drop his head and he's going to keep at it. So I think it's the same with Paulis. I don't think drop him. I think keep him there, because when it clicks, he's going to show. But I think if he struggles like he did, don't wait until late to bring in a Moremi, because I think even in the first in the game against Checha, he should have been brought in earlier than he was, because he's got that burst of energy and troubles defenders. And I think Magopa works in that he moves defenders with his ability to play wide, and just because he's constantly moving. The challenge with Foster is that even though he's the better finisher of the two, he's very predictable. He's a typical number 9, once he holds up play, and we do not play like that quite a lot. So I would say start with Magopa and then bring in Foster in the second half in terms of just hold up play and that energy and that strength that he brings. But in the lineup that we did today, I think the only change would be bringing back Tebogo Mokoena, and then the rest would be coming off the bench.
Njabulo, thank you so much. Another day, another episode. We'll connect once again after the match on Sunday evening. Kickoff is at 9 p.m. South African time. They will be playing at the Los Angeles Stadium in the United States. Can Bafana Bafana secure a ticket to the round of 16? We have to continue to dream, as they will too. Thanks.
Thanks for having me.